today. The locomotive was built in 1974 by the General Electric Company. The same General Electric that builds your dishwashers, washing machines, and microwaves. It was built for a Canadian steel mill, which connected out of Mississippi, San Jose, right on the Southern Railway, and was purchased by the museum is also based around Narragansons. Originally, our founder, Mom Richardson, had a place in Alamosa, Colorado called the Narragansons Museum, which is where he took as much rolling stock equipment and historical documentation like he could get from all of the Narragansons railroads that were at the time starting to close their doors and abandon their lines. And he took as much of this history as he could, put it in a small museum in Alamosa, Colorado. After a few years, he ended up running out of room, and not a whole lot of people were in the area at the time, so they ended up moving the museum to Golden, Colorado, where it currently sits now. So we have 15 acres and a half-mile view. As we come down the grade here, if you look on the inside of our circle, you'll see a large red brick building. This is the roundhouse where all of our restoration and maintenance occurs on different pieces of equipment. We also have our tray table out in front, which is the reason the roundhouse is round, so we can put all of this equipment on whichever track we need. If you take a look inside the roundhouse, you'll see all three of our steam locomotives, which are operational here. We have two from the Denver Rio Grande Western Railway and one from the Rio Grande Southern Railway. The two from the TNRDW are 346 and 491. 346 is a really special locomotive. It is the oldest operating steam locomotive in the state of Colorado. This is the last remaining Rio Grande Southern steam locomotive, This was known as the Chili Line. And at one certain point on the Chili Line, there was a water stop needed, and at this location they built the water and it was funded, so they ended up calling it the Old Line. The Chili Line also was transit right into Santa Fe, New Mexico, through the heart of the pepper growing region of the United States, with hatch and Pueblo chili peppers. What people used to do riding the passenger trains was they would leave bushels of the peppers on the outside of the passenger cars as they went from Santa Fe back into Colorado, and this would dry out the chili. So this was one of the things that kind of went to the name of the Chili Line, was this railway line. This part of the railroad for the last time. If you look on the inside of the loop, you'll see 3 green passenger cars, which are a stark contrast. These are all beautiful, and the 3 have all been restored in the last 5 to 6 years at the museum by volunteer crews. The first one you'll see is the Rio Grande Southern Railway number B21. This was a business car for the Rio Grande Southern Railway, which ran from Ridgeway, Colorado down to Durango, Colorado. Its depot was actually very close to where the Durango and Silverton is now. However, the reason the Rio Grande Southern was in existence was its creator, Otto Mears, had several railroads running out of Silverton, Colorado, and he needed to get the ore from the mines at Red Mountain down to Ouray. And though this was only about 10 miles by air, a railroad was not able to be built, so he ended ended up taking a 162-mile detour all the way around from Durango to Ridgeway and then on to Uray. So the Rio Grande Southern Railroad was very, very special, and unfortunately, it was never very profitable. It went into receivership less than 10 years after its foundation in the late 1890s. And during the 1930s, they had no money during the Depression. So if you look on the inside of the loop from the last time, you'll see two silver motor cars, RGS number 6 and RGS motor number 2. These are both known as Galloping Geese. So they ended up taking Pierce Arrow cars and mounting them on the railroad track